Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin. Jack, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Jack Sweeney, and welcome to today's webcast titled Automation in Action, Onboard New Clients in 1 Hour. This event is brought to you by ThinkAdvisor and sponsored by Laserfiche. I'll be your moderator for this event, but before we get to the topic, let's get some simple housekeeping items out of the way first. This event is completely interactive and incorporates many of today's social media tools. You can tweet or directly post information to your Facebook and LinkedIn page right from the console. You don't have to open a new browser to do so. Just scroll along the bottom there of the screen and click on the social networking widget of your choice. We encourage you to do so. Also, if you have a question for one of our speakers, please enter it in the Q&A widget on your console. We'll get to your question at the end of the event today, depending on time. We will answer as many questions as possible, so we invite you to ask away. If we don't get to your question, you may receive an email response. In addition, there's some other customizable functions to be aware of. Every window you currently see, from the slide window to the Q&A panel, can be either enlarged or collapsed. So if you want to change the look and feel of your console, go right ahead. Finally, there'll be some polling questions sprinkled throughout this event. We encourage you to participate. It's a great way to size you up among your peers out there. So please, when you see them pop up, go ahead and vote, and we'll share those results with you as we go along. Now, let's get to today's topic and why you're all here. Robo-advisors are everywhere, and they're taking customers with them. Broker-dealers are finding it increasingly difficult to attract new investors while still building relationships and focusing on servicing their current clients. Automation is the solution to these problems and allows advisors to remain competitive today. Today, you're going to be hearing from James Simos, co-founder, chief operating officer, managing principal of Infinity Financial Services. James Simos is an accomplished, results-driven senior wealth manager, financial planner, and entrepreneur with 18 years of successful leadership, business development, client relationship, and financial management experience. Next, Timothy Walsh, president and founder of Nexus Strategy, LLC. Tim is president and founder, of course, of Nexus Strategy. It's a consulting firm to the wealth management industry. Nexus Strategy works with investment advisors on growth strategies and partners with financial services and technology firms to distribute products and services through the advisor channel. Tim has worked in the past with Schwab Advisor Services and Merrill Lynch and was a member of the Financial Planning Association's National Board of Directors. Now, we're about to introduce Tim, but first, we want to push out our first polling question to you, and I'm going to read that to you now. It'll be appearing on your screen shortly. How well would you rate your document handling process? A, very manual and paper-based. We print everything. Choice B, somewhat automated, but still print documents for review. And the final choice, fully automated, completely paperless. Where are you? Let us know. Now we're going to give you a little time to answer that question, but without taking any additional time, we're pleased to welcome Tim. Tim Walsh, welcome.
Great. Thanks so much, Jack, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I think we've got some really interesting ideas and concepts, hopefully some that are going to be somewhat new and perhaps even controversial for wealth management industry. Obviously, we know that things have been changing fast. The robo question may be overused a little bit, but it still gets people excited in terms of really the vision for where operationally being efficient is going. I like to call it automation has finally landed in wealth management, and it's going to cause all of us to up our games, which is a great news story because there's some really powerful new tools available from many of the top vendors in the space that can really help us all run a better business, meet client service needs, and really have an outstanding experience, both for advisors and their clients themselves. And so when you think about that, what are those key factors for success? I mean, technology is such a broad topic. We're going to hear from James later. He's got a great handle on how he built his business through many different approaches to technology. But really, when you think about it, if it's not being used, then it really isn't working. And that goes both for internal as well as external. The ways to make that happen much more quickly and provide a better experience for all involved is really to have all of your operations automated as much as possible. I mean, if I could see you all, I'd ask the question, how many of you still have a spreadsheet in your business? And I'm pretty sure everyone would raise their hand. That's our goal. We need to get rid of those spreadsheets because that's where errors creep in, inconsistency, things fall through the cracks. Those spreadsheets get broken, you outgrow them. Really what is key in today's world is to be able to automate as much as possible so you can eliminate some of those frictions in your business. But of course, you can't just have automation without actually having people use it. And that really comes back to the whole fundamental principle of making it simple, making it easy, making it intuitive so people actually use it, and really having leadership in your business from the top down on why this is an important piece of software, why we need to use it, and how it's really going to make change through a very simple approach. And I think James is going to have some great comments on this as well. And then lastly, we're all about the client. I mean, that is really what funds this business. This is the professional services industry. It's what we do for a living. And having it all going back towards what makes the client have an outstanding experience, that's really going to separate us, or at least, for many people, catch up to what these automated robos have done. So that's going to be some of the key principles as we go forward. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about an approach, what we call a methodology. So Laserfiche, as a pioneer in the document management space, has spent a lot of time looking and researching. It's been my honor and privilege to be part of this process to really tailor these unbelievable technologies to make it work for advisors. And so if you think about it, document management has changed forever. We are now not just simply scanning in documents or filing them in search and retrieval for whatever reasons. Now it's actually gotten beyond that to include some really powerful tools and technologies. And the reason for that is simple, because things change. We didn't have mobile or social or the cloud 10 years ago, but we do now. And so those powerful technologies need to enable wealth management practices, and for many in the industry, catch up to what's out there now. So that framework that we're going to look at is the ECM methodology. It begins with 6 core quadrants. The first is business process management, which is a key piece that looks at all sorts of ways to think about it. But fundamentally, if you go back to our core image, we're really going to take a look around this wheel of BPM, electronic forms, document distribution, document management, governance, risk and compliance, and multi-channel capture. So a lot of that sounds familiar to what we've done in the past in terms of grabbing content from paper, but we live in a much different world now. Content comes at us from all sorts of channels, from the web, from email, from video, from phone calls, from social media, from tweets. How do you capture all this content that's originating in your business and coming at you? That's really why ECM was invented, to solve this problem. So let's take a look at each of these one by one. The first one, the multi-channel capture, is really exciting. It's not so much somebody just stand at a scanner and just scan documents in, kind of a no-brainer kind of thing. Now there's so many more ways to capture content, whether that's the camera on your phone, taking a picture, and having that automatically go back to your archive. So many more opportunities to be able to leverage some of those more powerful tools and make it intelligent so that you don't have to train the software. It learns based on optical character recognition. It knows that in this top left corner is the client's name, bottom right is the account number, 3/4 down is a social security number, and you can then use and pull that metadata to be able to form other different aspects of this content. So this is a new account form opened by Advisor X on this date for this client. It contains this mutual fund. So much information really empowers you when you look forward to go to our next one, which is business process management. And we all have processes in our business. If you think about all those things, content moves from one person to another. There's an approval. James is going to show a lot of these processes in a minute. We're kind of giving you the high level here. How do you automate that? Back to getting rid of our spreadsheets. How do we automate this so that it's streamlined, it's auditable, you can archive it, you can find out what happened, where, when, and really define workflows around those processes, and that's where the software can come into play. And we're not talking about having IT or developers or programmers. This is all drag and drop, easy to use functionality that even the most unsophisticated users can customize and build their own workflows. It's really powerful for the wealth management space today. So once we've automated our processes, then we can also use other applications such as electronic forms. And this is an amazing new technology. This is something you could push your client, for example, to have them fill out the risk tolerance questionnaire or have them fill out the information you need for your financial plan. They can start the financial planning process themselves, self-service, through electronic forms, again, integrated into a business process that kicks off workflows and really shortens the time that it takes you, the advisor or the broker-dealer exec or whoever's running the business, and being able to streamline that process, shorten the amount of time to gather data. And it doesn't have to be related to just wealth management. It can be such as a travel expense form or accounts payable. Anything you're doing where you need to grab information, you can put it into a form. Once it's there, you can capture it, automate it, kick off workflows. Again, we're going way beyond what we used to call document management to have all these new features functionality. And then combined with that is really on the document management side, the document distribution side. It's not so much that we want to just capture this stuff. How do we push it out to our organization? How do we get it to our clients? How do we make it in a form that they can see through maybe an online portal, or maybe we can publish reports and eliminate the need to mail them out every quarter? Some incredible efficiencies are being found by advisors who no longer every quarter shut down the office to compile, publish, print, and mail quarterly reports. You can use the system to publish it electronically, take advantage of the workflows. It really becomes a very powerful tool. Next up, we have document management. Again, this is where we started, and we all know this one very well, hopefully. I'm sure our poll results will tell us, yes, one way or another. But here, this is all about being able to search, retrieve, archive, using metadata that can tell you intelligently what is that piece of that website, that form, that document, that video, what is it, how can you use it to manage your information, really solve compliance issues, all those great things. Which brings us to the next one, which is governance, risk, and control. So I always ask this question, again, if I could see your hands, I'd ask you to hold them up and say, how many of you think we'll have less regulation next year? Of course, everybody laughs because there's absolutely no, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So we need to have some powerful enabling tools to streamline all of this incredible information that's coming at us. A great stat that comes from one of the forms filling companies is that the forms from year 1 to year 2 over the last year have gone up 25% in terms of length. And that length is just purely from disclosures. You know, you're still opening a new account form, but now there's an extra page just for disclosures because of what the regulations are changing. So you really want to have a tight control around that. And again, through the Laserfiche ECM methodology, you have frameworks and workflows to simplify and streamline that. So that's a lot of stuff I just went through. I just want to give you a high level, and I think James will be a living case study that brings it together. But when we then take it to the next level, now we're talking integration with all your other systems, all the other things you use in your business. Now you're starting to see something that's pretty powerful, pretty compelling. And if you actually take the hood off of a robo-advisor, this is what you see. This is what they are doing. They've automated everything. They've documented it in terms of these processes. They make it so easy you can open a new account from their website. That's pretty powerful. Most folks can't do that, but they can do that, and this is what it is. This is your own robo-advisor that you can customize all through software that you probably already own today. That, to me, is really exciting. That's what really gets everyone fired up about what's available, what's possible, kind of hints at some of our titles of our content today in terms of our presentation that I think really is exciting for there. So I'm going to pause there and then move into one more slide, and then we'll get our poll going. But just want to introduce a new opportunity for, again, we mentioned the cloud as a new way of accessing document imaging software. Here's another great way from Laserfiche, the Laserfiche Cloud. It's a SaaS model, gives you that central repository, accessible from anywhere, has all these core pieces. It's really another way to extend the application to the latest technology, and it's all been enabled because of this approach of open architecture and ECM methodology. So before I hand off to James, why don't we get the results, Jack, of our first poll, and then I'll comment on that, and then we'll take another poll, and then I'll hand it off to James.
Great. We're pushing those out to you now. The results you'll see soon on your screen for the question, how well would you rate your document handling process? Here's what you told us.
And that's just a fabulous result. Thank you all for submitting that and not being shy to say, you know, really, we're looking up there about 95% of us, which is not unusual, still have that spreadsheet I mentioned in play. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing because it's good news that you actually now have the opportunity to leverage these systems to be able to get yourself into that bottom two, fully automated, completely paperless. We call that document management nirvana. I think that's an awesome result. So we'll refer back to that as we go forward in the presentation, but I think that's a pretty telling result there. So thanks for that, Jack. So I'll let you ask the next question.
Sure. It'll be appearing on your screen. What aspect of enterprise content management have you implemented? Now select one of the following. Select, all that apply. Let me emphasize that. Scanning of paper documents. B, search with keywords and index information. C, workflow automation. D, client portal. E, Digital Records Archiving. Again, select all that apply for us. Again, just a terrific way to match you up against your peers, see where you are compared to others.
So that's great, Jack. Thanks so much. And I think this is a great polling question because we'll see, based on the results, how much of these platform systems people are actually using. And I think that'll be very telling as we go forward. So with that, it's my privilege to introduce James Simos. James, take it away.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me here today. I'm delighted to be here. Can everybody hear me okay?
You sound great.
Okay, thank you. I was delighted to be here today because I've been through this process before where I've been intrigued by a piece of technology and had, be intrigued by it in the fact that there's a lot of selling going on out there. There's a lot of conferences that we all go to, and we pick up information at a lot of different places. But what I have always enjoyed is seeing being able to drive the car before we buy it. And so hopefully today what I want to give to you is that test drive using us as maybe the model. The thing about Laserfiche, in my opinion, and I've been using it for over 10 years now, is that it works. It works out of the box, and if you want, it can be customized. And through all the implementations and iterations of using technology in the broker-dealer over these last 12 to 15 years, my advice to people looking for technology is to choose a technology partner wisely. And one of the ways that we evaluate technology partners is, first of all, we look at the ones who are smart, and secondly, and maybe more importantly, working with the partners who we enjoy working with, because you're going to be working with them a lot. And Laserfiche has some of the best folks I've ever worked with in terms of business processing. A little background of our firm. We started the firm in 2004. I'm co-founder and managing principal. My partner, Greg Gilbert, and I started the firm in 2004. Currently, we have 24 offices located throughout the U.S., from Rhode Island to Hawaii. So we're spread out geographically. We service over 1,200 accounts, and we have over 400 million in assets. So that's probably, around 200, average account size about 200,000. We started the business immediately after resigning from Merrill Lynch. We had approximately $20 million in assets and about 85 accounts when we left Merrill Lynch. So we had probably about 35 to 40 households. So over this period of time, we've grown 20-fold, which we're very grateful for, but it's taken a hell of a lot of work. What I want to do is I want to kind of start with the genesis of this. My partner and I attended we were rookies coming out of Merrill Lynch. We had no idea how to run a broker-dealer or what was involved, but we had a lot of moxie and were very motivated young men at the time. We attended as rookies the National Association of Independent Broker-Dealers Conference in Los Angeles, and I just walked up to the booth not knowing what Laserfiche was, and on the plane ride home, I told my business partner, I'm like, we have to have Laserfiche. We have an office of about 1,000 square feet. There's no way we're going to be able to put file cabinets in this office, and there's no way we can afford right now a move to a new office. His response was, I think it was about $10,000 that we figured we'd have to spend on it. He said, $10,000 is a lot of money. I told him, I said, having file cabinets and having to walk over to the file cabinet, to me, that's worth $10,000. So that's how we basically got the thing started. Looking back, I've never regretted our partnership with Laserfiche. I don't think we could have done operationally what we've done without Laserfiche. As a lot of advisors are probably on the call. This is a highly regulated business, and the regulation is only going to get worse. So that's kind of my jumping off point. Laserfiche is the center of our business, of our operations. We have 10 people that make up our back office staff. And to give you an idea of how important Laserfiche is in our business, when a new person comes on board in a back office role, whether they're accounting or compliance or registration, any of those departments, I explain to them about what Laserfiche is, and I explain to them that in their role in our business, they're going to be the librarian, and Laserfiche is the library. Now, Laserfiche has evolved to be more than that. Laserfiche is evolving to be an engine that just is a lot more than just a repository, and I'll go on to that in a minute. And so by getting familiar as a new hire in our business, in the company, it ingratiates them into and it matriculates them into the processes in our business. It gives them information about the different functions and departments such as operations, finance, accounting, compliance, registration, sales and marketing, all those different things. A person can really get a good idea of all of the different facets of the business because that's our library. So Laserfiche is now basically the first thing that a person does when they come to our business. We process on average about 200 to 300 documents per month through Laserfiche. Our largest month processing documents was March of 2012. We processed in 1 month, we processed 3,500 documents. And that's because we had a change of broker-dealer. So we moved the firm to a new custodian. Let me get to the slide here. First slide I want to talk to you about is how do the documents, let's see, let me push this out here. Bear with me. Okay, I'm going to start with this slide. How does a document get to where it needs to go? It's an interesting thing. We have some advisors out there who are used to doing things their own way. They've been doing it for 35 or 40 years, and frankly, I'm not here to change the tricks of an old dog. So the nice thing about Laserfiche is it can be it can be molded to fit how certain advisors work. And so we have a lot of different makes and models out there of financial advisors. So it's important to be malleable as far as technology goes. But we'll talk about that a little later. What you see here is what happens to a document when we get it. If a financial advisor just faxes us a document, he's welcome to do that. We don't make a big fuss about the documents. We just want to get the document. When we get them, we fill out this thing called metadata. And metadata is data about the data. It's data that goes ahead of the data or before it, and it's very useful in the archiving and retrieval of any document. So we have a system and process in place that when the documents come in, the metadata has to be filled out. The 40-year financial advisor who's not very good with technology and goes to the fax machine and puts that document down and scans it and then faxes it to us, those documents come in one big lump. There could be within the one document that we get, there could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 documents. And so we accommodate that financial advisor. We have our processing department break those documents up and then enter the metadata. The metadata is really what drives the entire thing. It drives the automation, it drives the retrieval. It's very important to have what's needed in metadata, because without good metadata, it's next to impossible. The next slide, let's see. So the metadata are basically we call them tags. So we put a tag on the document. That's another word for saying metadata. So the person who's doing this, as they're putting the metadata in the document, the document processing person makes an initial pass over each document. So this is where we start to review the documents. We check for things like name, address, social security numbers, date of birth, employer, all those things that we're all used to looking at on a document. And I'll show you some of our documents here. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a document, so everything we're all used to looking at. And then the right-hand side, we've got the metadata tag. So that initial pass, the person looks it over, and if there's a missing social security number, then they mark it as rejected. So we get the eyes on the data, and this kind of begins the process. Over the course of a document life cycle, we hope that most of them are in good order. But we found that for whatever reason, probably about, I'd say, 2/3 of the documents that we get are in good order. I'd say about 1/3, maybe a half, depending on, I guess, the financial advisor. About 1/3 of them are not in good order. The other thing I want to show you is as soon as the document hits our server, an email is generated. So the nice thing about Laserfiche is as soon as a document comes in, we can tell Laserfiche to send somebody an email. Now, having done this for quite a few years, we have a lot of people who get these emails because we want a lot of people in the organization to be aware of the volume of the documents, the type of documents that are coming in. We have a policy in our firm that the rule is that documents should be on their way to being processed within an hour, and that the rep should have communication within 24 hours of what's going on with their document submission. So the minute we get a document, email is what we use. Everybody's looking at their email all day long. Email works, and I know a lot of financial advisors feel that way too. So the way that I manage this process is I get emails. I can see who's sending documents, and I actually look at them. We get quite a few documents, but I like to look to see what's going on. The other issue with an email is if I'm on the distribution list, all the other back office staff know that I'm looking at it. So it's a very sticky subject with us that all the documents get processed as soon as possible. So again, if they know that I'm looking at the documents alongside of them, I may not be reviewing them or cutting them up or putting the metadata on, but I know what's going on inside of our firm. We're at the point now where we're getting a little bit larger. Eventually those roles will be moved over somewhere. I'm almost counting on it. In fact, I hope it happens. Let's see. The next thing is, so we covered the email. Here's an interesting anecdote about how I maintain a kind of a hand in the business in the document processing. As I'm looking at the documents, when the documents come in, I can identify where they came from immediately. So, for example, if I don't see anything from New Orleans, it starts to pique my interest. What's going on in New Orleans? If I see a lot of documents from Florida, it kind of piques my interest. Geez, what's going on in Florida? So, it's been very helpful for me to still, use this as a management tool to be able to track what's going on. Let's see. So when they come in, we get an email. Let's see this one. Okay. When they come in, what's nice about Laserfiche is you can tell Laserfiche what to do with the document when it comes in. So when it comes in, let me push this slide out here. When it comes in, the documents go into a queue. And as they're being looked at, I can see real time what's going on with the documents, what's being rejected, what the issues are with that particular document based on the metadata. So what's helpful, I think, for folks to know is that when when a person looking at the document rejects a document, inside of Laserfiche, there's a notes section that they go and they describe what the problems with the documents are. When that document gets rejected, the financial advisor gets an email saying that your document has been rejected, and on the email it says, here's what the problem is. Then they can go back to their document and they can review their document. It seems to work. It's not the most fancy thing to do, but people watch their emails and they know they submitted a document and within the hour it's been rejected and there's a problem with it. They know that, and that's good communication. We're back to them within an hour or certainly 24 hours if we're investigating it further, but it works really well. Then the communication is there, and the financial advisor, if he has any questions, calls up, and then we go from there. So there's basically a queue that we have all of the documents in. Let's see. There's a nice thing with the metadata. There's a beautiful thing here. It's like an assembly line. And you can see kind of exactly what's going on the assembly line. And here's what I like to show. Let me get this out there. Is that the one? The assembly line is here. Let's see, is that the same one? This is the assembly line. Let's say, for instance, that this is an account that's a fee-based account, and compliance needs to look at the document so that it's in good order with regards to suitability and all of the information as far as know your client that the SEC and FINRA are most concerned with. But that document doesn't stop at compliance. That document has to carry on through the accounting department so that the accounting department can set up the billing and make sure that account's getting billed. What's nice about the highly customizable nature of Laserfiche is that whoever's got the document can then, you can set up a rule that says, okay, this document must have a forward. So after compliance gets through with it, it's mandatory that the document get to accounting. So with Laserfiche and the high ability of customization and workflow, I don't think there's too many things that you can't do in terms of setting up these workflows. So we have a workflow that says, okay, once the document's been approved, an automatic forward has to go out to the person responsible in accounting to make sure the account gets billed. Because believe me, it's not good if you have an account on board and the rep thinks it's being billed and nobody's getting paid for it. So we've learned these lessons over the many years, and we use Laserfiche to solve our problems through technology. Let's see. Okay, that's good. Here's another one. Here's what I like. That's my signature. So when a document looks like it's been reviewed or as it's gone through the factory, this is where the buck stops. The buck stops with me. And making sure that all of this is reviewed. And by the time it gets to me, I'm pretty confident that I've had 3 or 4 sets of eyes on it. The person who processed the document, the financial advisor, we have an operations person, and we have a compliance person. So there's 4, then my eyes. So by the time it gets to me, I'm pretty sure that everything that needed to be done with it is done with it. I can see all of the notes in terms of who touched it. I can see all the problems with it. I know who's had their eyes on it. It's very handy for me to have all of this information about a document at my fingertips. And the ability to stamp a document without having to print it is very appealing. So again, Tim asked at the beginning, are we electronic? Most of our documents are, I would say, 97.5% electronic. Very rarely do we have to print a document that we receive. So probably about anywhere from 95 to 97% electronic. Let's see. Here's a good one. over here. So this is the ability to retrieve the information. First of all, get the information in, be able to review it, be able to retrieve it. The next thing is terms of compliance, archiving. Let's just say the document's in terrific order. It's been billed, everything's in good shape. We've had 3 FINRA examinations. We have them every 18 months. We've had an SEC examination. We have those probably every 2.5 years. What's really nice about this is the ability to be able to use the search function to get the information out. So it's very, very, what's the word? It's very soothing to know that when an audit comes up and FINRA hits you with a request of about, I don't know, probably 300 or 400 documents, that the work that we did putting the data in is going to be easily retrievable, and it has. We've been through 3 or 4 different examinations, and it's never because, very rare, I shouldn't say never, it's rare that we cannot find a document. Or the ability to, when FINRA hits us with that request, it's basically a matter of organizing those documents in probably a couple of days. And 300 documents to go through to find is a lot of documents. So it doesn't take all week. It doesn't take weeks. It doesn't take months. It takes a series of days to accommodate the request from FINRA. So that's very pleasing to have Laserfiche involved in that. So we can basically search documents, simple searches, compound searches. I could find a search from a rep who did a document in approximately this month. That can all be retrieved. It's about, there's about 10 different ways that you can search through Laserfiche. What I find a lot is if I ask one of the staff, I said, hey, can you pull up this document? The staff, well, a lot of times what they do is, let me show you this slide 23. A lot of times the staff, they just do searches that can be done with wildcard searches up here. If you see the red box, there's a little search box up there. So if I go back to the back office and I say, hey, I need a document with this custodian. I'm searching for a new account form. Can you pull it up for me? They go right there. They type a search in, and most of the time that information pops right up. So the staff love Laserfiche, and they love it. A lot of it is because it's a focus in our business. They're well trained to use Laserfiche, and they know how important the document system and processing is in our business. So everybody's a librarian here. Let's see. Almost done here. What I'm really excited about is, so everything that I've shown you, we've been doing this for years. Like I said, we started the business. We started using Laserfiche a long, long time ago. Laserfiche has been able to morph with our business. So whatever the 10 grand was we spent, at the beginning, we've had to go back and redo our processes a little bit. We've had to reinvest in writing some workflows. And again, I've never regretted using Laserfiche because of the ability to call on their experts and say, hey, Alan, hey, Christina, I need this to do this. And what they do is they look at it. It's like I have a partner. They look at it, and they ask me a bunch of questions, and then they say, okay, we'll go back and we'll see if we can draw up a workflow. If the staff is very important to me, and we try to maintain open lines of communication. If the staff has an idea about a better way to do something that involves a workflow, we'll say, hey, call Alan, call Christina, get information from them, and it's an open type of business to be able to get everybody's input. But we have Laserfiche in the background to really support our business, so I've been very pleased about that. Okay, one of the things I want to do is I want to quickly wrap up here. and I want to show you what we're excited about. Okay. Slide number 400. Where is it? Where's slide 400? Okay, here it is. Okay. What we're really excited about, and we're talking about 180 days from now. We're going to, a lot of our financial advisors are using Redtail. It seems to be just what everybody wants to use. There's other financial advisors who use Smart Office, Salesforce, those types of things. But the majority of everybody is using Redtail. So what we're excited about is the Laserfiche Redtail integration. What's really nice about it is as you're using Redtail, you're not going to have to switch in to another program. You're not going to have to open up a web browser. You're not going to have to do anything. You're going to have Redtail and Laserfiche in the same window, which is very exciting. So that the advisor who's been doing this 40 years, if he's going to adopt the CRM system, then the CRM system and the document imaging system are all going to talk to each other. The reason why I'm excited about it is because I don't have to go out and find another vendor to do another integration and spend more money. I won't mention DocuPaste. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Did I mention DocuPaste? Okay. So I don't have to do any of that. Okay. So I don't have to go through another completely tear down and remodel of our business processes to be able to get financial advisors to have a direct view into their document submission. So we're very excited about that. So I'll give you another thing. You can see it right here. We're going to map Laserfiche folders to the Redtail folders. There's going to be a lot of information that they're going to be sharing in between. We have Laser Apps in Redtail. That's working well. We have financial planning in Redtail. That's working well. For financial planning, the financial advisors seem to like to have those two things. And the icing on the cake is going to be Redtail. So I expect that as we get through the integration and we get the whole thing up and running, that it's going to be very helpful for financial advisors. It's going to cut their time down. They're going to have access to information at their fingertips. They're not going to have to go to another system or browser or anything like that, and their eyes are going to be focused on one place. So we're trying to do everything we can to get the productivity of the advisors up, to really help them with their technology. We're trying to do everything we can to ease the burden of document processing, whether it's filling out a document. It's a never-ending battle, and we're running as fast as we can, as I know a lot of financial advisors out there are running as fast as they can. So we're trying to do everything we can. So with that, I think I've used all of my time. I will say thank you to everybody at Redtail. Sorry about that. Thank you to everybody at Laserfiche and Redtail. Thank you to Tim for inviting me to join his presentation, and I'm very excited about the future.
Yeah. Awesome, James. Outstanding. Thanks so much for sharing your experience. I think a lot of people can learn quite a bit from the thoughtfulness and dedication you have to achieving operational excellence and leveraging the greatest tools that are out there. So that's awesome. So, Jack, we have the results of the second poll, and then maybe we can ask another one.
Yes, we do. Here, we asked you, what aspect of enterprise content management have you implemented? And here's what you told us.
Yeah, interesting. So the good news is people are scanning documents in. We know that as a common approach. Maybe it's a PDF document into a Windows directory or the shared drive, which has its own issues as well. But it's also great to see that there's some good adoption of workflow and also of the client portal, getting back to our themes of simplicity, making it the client experience outstanding, and making it all work together. So we're going to have one more poll question, and then we'll open up to some Q&A. So, Jack?
Sure. This should be appearing on your screens shortly, if not already. What aspect of enterprise content management ECM, have you implemented? Select all that apply. Scanning of paper documents, choice A, B.
Jack, I think that's the wrong poll. I'm sorry. That was the one we just did. There's a third one.
Here, let me take it over. What processes would you like to automate? Is that the one, Tim?
Yeah, that's the one, James, man. You're a great moderator and host.
Thanks, Tim.
What processes would you like to automate over the next 3 months for your firm? Select all that apply. A, compliance document review. B, opening new client accounts. C, blotter processing. D, onboarding new reps. Or E, other administrative processes.
We'll share those results after Tim shares some more thoughts.
Okay. Great. So just want to wrap up, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A. But I think if you've seen, we've had a really great way to, I think, hopefully cover this information with some of the theories that we discussed here, and then James' the actual case study. So again, those 3 takeaways we talked about: automation, making sure that it's secure and compliant, and of course that customer-focused experience. Those are the big lessons that I think the robo-advisors are teaching us. We firmly believe that there'll always be a relationship business, but it's key to have the software and the technology to be able to enhance that. And I think, Infinity Financial Services is a great example of all of that. One last thing is if you are interested in learning more, you can request a demo. There's some information up there. But while we leave that slide up there, Jack, if you want to kind of filter through some of the questions that have come in, I think we can segue to that part of the session today.
We do. It's a busy question queue. If you haven't already, tap one out to us. But we already have quite a few in the queue. Again, James and Tim, if you want to jump in and pick one out yourself, please go right ahead. But we'll go right to the top of the queue for now. James, what are the unexpected benefits, those plus benefits, from implementing Laserfiche ECM?
Interesting. I would say that the staff is a lot more engaged. Its obvious benefit is that FINRA likes us. The SEC likes us. We have we have a system in place. That's Laserfiche. They know that we're very diligent about how we treat our documents and our ability to supervise the documents. But I think that the most important thing is what kind of benefit we get from our staff because of how well it works, and that they feel that they can take responsibility for the system because it's not difficult to use. The processes are well defined, and it's a great tool, and we're not running around panicking trying to do our work. So the staff is the most important thing.
James, someone has a question about that staff. They want to know, how do you get that buy-in from staff members? How is that done? Are they resistant, and are they resistant to technology?
The staff inside isn't, because my advice is get young people. There's not any young person under the age of, that we work with, I guess under the age of 30, that is ever resistant to technology. They're just not. What you find that the older financial advisors are the ones who are resistant to technology. The advisors who are, I hate to be discriminatory, but anybody like older than 50, they seem to be the ones who have the most problem with it. So if they're a financial advisor, look, it's our job to accommodate the financial advisors. So we just let them do what they need to do to get the documents to us, and we'll take it from there.
Tim, we got a question here for you. Someone just wants, point blank, what's the difference between ECM and document management?
It's a great question. I think if you wanted to just think historically what document management was, based on what was available to the wealth management industry, was really the ability to scan documents in, put the metadata around them, put them into one repository, have the ability to then search and retrieve, and sort of lock down your paper and streamline your business from that point of view. So that's document management. That's still an important piece. This is a paper-intensive business. Everything comes down to a piece of paper or a signature somewhere. So that's a key aspect. But ECM, again, brings in all these great new tools. So once you have your stuff digital, now you can then use workflow operations. And workflow can be defined as simply as, okay, move this document from this queue to this queue because it needs to be reviewed by James, signed off, compliance approvals. Then it needs to get routed right back to the client folder. Notification needs to go out to the mutual fund company or the compensation system to do a commission check or whatever it's going to be. All of those steps in the process can be automated through workflow tools that are attached to the document management capabilities. So ultimately, once the document has been processed, James is doing 300 or 400 a month, 3,500 in that 1 month, it gets routed back to the repository for ultimate search and retrieval down the road for compliance, etc. So the key differences are layering on top of document management, business process tools, workflow automation, forms, intelligent capture, beyond just scanning. Like I said, where you can take a picture of it with your iPhone on the camera and have it sent back. Much more broader set of tools that can really automate processes. Again, back to our theme of making it simple and easy, getting rid of the spreadsheets. That's what ECM is about. I know it's a new term. We're creating a movement here around ECM, and we're going to lead off with this approach. And you'll see us at conferences, T3 coming up and Schwab Impact, so you can meet us there. And we're presenting this idea as thinking beyond just document management. And that's really what separates the ECM methodology from just the core old way of doing business. And I think you've seen some great examples with James and his team and what they're doing at Infinity.
Someone here says they're in a sort of a culture that is resistant to change, and they want to know, I guess they have to go back and educate people, what are those current trends that are out there that's driving this, that's driving businesses to workflow management? We're just too resistant. We need to understand better why.
Well, I think that's a wake-up call for the owners of that business because they probably won't be around. As we know, Robos, again, one of our themes is automation. It's here in wealth management. You can't resist it. Otherwise, your business will be marginalized, particularly when basis points are going to go down to zero. Schwab's Robo is free, so the bar has been set at zero. If you're going to differentiate your business and your practice, you have to have all these great tools and processes and technologies like James and Infinity have to be able to attract new advisors, attract new clients, because you just don't have the choice anymore. You can't exist in a paper world. Compliance and regulations are just too burdensome. The regulators are going to come after you. They're going to want you to have it digital. It's just going to be not a choice. So that's really called leadership. I mean, what you're talking about there is change management, leadership in an organization. Who's setting the tone? How are you, integrating it into your compensation systems, your employee recognition? James mentioned the staff is excited about having it, making them more productive. They love it. So it really shouldn't be that paradigm. So unfortunately for that situation, I think that's going to be the exception, not the rule going forward. But again, back to the theme of leadership, setting the tone of the organization, and really bringing it together.
Hey, Tim, let me piggyback on something you said. Here's the thing. As a financial advisor and running the practice, I know how daunting it can be to keep up with everything. My advice to somebody about changing their culture is if you're going to eat an elephant, eat the thing one bite at a time. Start small and build from there. There's no way we could have gotten to where we were gotten processing this many documents if we hadn't have started somewhere small and then refine, build, refine. So 90% of it's refining what you've built. There's only certain, I think we've gone through major upgrades in Laserfiche maybe 3 or 4 times since 2004. But every time we do it, we're refining. And the thing that makes it work the best is give the staff, with some guidance, put the rails on it, but give the staff the ability to speak up when they want it to do something. So if somebody says, geez, I wish Laserfiche would just do this, then we make the call, or we evaluate it, and then we make the call. So the staff feels like it's their machine, basically. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. That's a great comment, James. I think that's exactly right. We're empowering people with software, so that's the key takeaway there.
So I think we have time for just a few more, but when somebody's asking, they want to know what the popular processes are when it comes to broker-dealers and financial advisors using ECM to speed up their operations. What are those processes that perhaps are the ones they're really targeting to speed up?
Well, I'll just mention a couple, and I think James has probably got better perspective here, but we see the compliance approval process. We see new account opening, combined with digital signatures. Ideally, we should be able to open accounts with no paperwork, just like the Robos do. You can open an account off their website at 3 in the morning on your iPad, no papers required. So those are the key processes there. But James, in your business, what are the top ones you see that you're implementing the most?
Well, if you put yourself in the rep's shoes, get the account open, get those documents looked at. There's no reason a financial advisor needs to wait on knowing whether or not somebody's looking in at his document. So when we get that document and somebody opens it and somebody does something with it, the email generation goes out to the financial advisor immediately. So the financial advisor gets an email so that they know what the status of that document is. Now, that's powerful for a lot of financial advisors. They say, gosh, I really like the fact that you guys the back office is communicating with me. And, that right there is what will help adopt the technology, is good communication and a system that works.
So before we go, did we want to share the results of the last poll?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Tim, maybe you can read those for us.
So it looks like compliance is a big one. James nailed it again, opening new accounts. Other aspects, onboarding new reps. Yeah, there's really lots of – this is a really interesting slide that builds on, again, the ECM methodology, that you can do so many different things with it beyond just the paper and the document. So I think that's a very interesting result, and it looks like we got a pretty savvy audience out there, so everyone should pat themselves on the back for doing a lot of this great stuff, because clearly we have these tools available to us. The cost of memory and software have come way down relative to what it used to be. So this is a very telling slide, again, for sort of where we are in the space.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have. I'd like to thank you for joining us. We hope it was valuable to you. Also, special thanks to speakers James Simos of Infinity Financial Services, Timothy Walsh of Nexus Strategy for their time and insights. Also, thank you to Laserfiche for their support. If you missed any part of this presentation, remember it'll be archived shortly, so you can view it again or refer someone to it. Have a great afternoon.